Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I had to put on something on my lips. I'm so excited to be live today. As always, I'm always excited, y'all, because there's always so much to talk about. There's always so much to cover in so little time, in such little time. I am, the day has kind of been flying by. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually off today, but I still obviously am working and always doing work. Um, but I woke up and I went to the gym this morning. I got there around 9 o'clock. I've been doing good and consistently going to the gym and going in the morning. Typically, I'm an afternoon, evening gym girly, but for the past, I would say, couple of weeks, I've been going in the morning and I've been appreciating it because now I have my evenings back. Um, so I've been doing that. I did that this morning, came back home and did some journaling, my normal morning routine, took a shower, obviously, made breakfast, edited a video. A new video will actually be going live today at 6 o'clock. Hopefully, it's basically done. I just need to add some just extra stuff to it to really zhuzh it up. So that's what I started working on. Very brief video about your values as a stylist. So I'm excited to share that. But that'll be going out today at around 6:30. I hope and pray. And yeah, I had a call with a brand that I am collaborating with, which is exciting. And then I prepared for this call. I ate breakfast and then I prepared for this call. Not this call, this live segment. So time has been flying. It's 1:30 already, and I have to leave here within the next maybe 30 minutes so I can go pick up my nephew. I got to get my car washed. I might stop at Rita's because I have not had Rita's yet since it's been the spring. And I don't know about y'all, but the pear Rita's is my absolute favorite flavor. That's all I get. But it's so hard to find sometimes. Like I'll go to Rita's. Well, I remember because it's been over a year since I've been to Rita's, but I remember I would always go to different locations to make sure that they had the pear flavor. And not every location had that flavor. So hopefully, if I do go today, they have it. But other than that, I was able to make my coffee in my favorite donut cup. So yeah, but today's topic, 3 tips to go from surface level stylist to CEO stylist. Definitely thought this was super important. In my video that's going live today, I'm actually talking about being a surface level stylist and how a client reached out to me, how a lot of potential clients reach out to me asking me for surface level services. And yes, I do offer those. I do incorporate those surface level things inside of my packages, but it also includes some other things that the client sometimes they want, but mostly it's things that they need. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but in order to create a successful package, a premium package, it has to be a combination of what the client wants and also what the client needs. So it's so important for you to ask the right questions, for you to understand what the client is looking for you to understand who the client is in order for you to provide them with a service that's going to solve their problem. If you are not solving their problem, then you're not really doing anything. So it's so important to do that. So that is why I wanted to talk about, going from surface level stylist to CEO stylist, because that was me. That was also me. A lot of what I talk about now there are things that I did not realize was a thing when I first started. Like I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't focusing my time on that. I knew that I wanted to be a stylist. I knew that I wanted to dress women. I knew that I wanted to help women find cute outfits and curate a wardrobe that, made sense for them and just educate them on how to do those things. And I was not thinking about, solving a problem. Like I thought that was their problem. I thought, their problem was, they hated shopping. They didn't really know what to buy in store. They had a bunch of clothes but still had nothing to wear. Like that was everybody's problem. But that's not technically a problem. That is a challenge, which is also a problem, but it's not a problem that is deep. It's not a problem, it's not the core root of, what they're actually experiencing. It's very surface level. I actually talked about this on LinkedIn yesterday when I went live, no, Tuesday, when I went live for SCB Luxury Styling, my styling business. And I talked about how, women are seeking confidence, women are seeking, um, wanting to love their bodies more, women are wanting to go to the next level in their lives, they're wanting to get promoted, they're wanting to be seen. And they think that putting new outfits together and revamping their entire wardrobe is going to help with that. And honestly, it doesn't really do that. Because put on a new outfit, you can dress your client in a new outfit and they can look good, but how do they feel? They can look good, but are they confident now? They can look good, but do they have the mindset to go out and secure a new client? No. 9 times out of 10, they're still the same person that they were before they put the new clothes on. So the clothes aren't the solution. It's the digging deeper. It's the building a relationship. It's the really understanding the client's underlying issues so that you can then create a package and an offer that provides a solution to what they're going through and what they're experiencing or what they've gone through or what they've experienced. So many women are going through some type of transition, whether they recently had a child, whether they were recently laid off, recently got a new job, recently got married, recently have been divorced. It's so many transitions that we as women, we as people go through. And not to say that you should be helping people in transition, but to consider that because every person that you're working with is going through some type of transition. It's inevitable. We're always transitioning to a new season, to a new level in life, to a new chapter. And what our clients don't necessarily realize is that when they are entering this new chapter, they're still showing up as the person that they were before this chapter even started. They're still showing up and dressing like the person that they were before they transition into this new space. And they're sitting back wondering why they don't feel confident. They're sitting back wondering why, they don't feel changed. And it's like, well, you just changed your clothes. You didn't actually change. So I hope that's making sense. But today, because I've been rambling, but also giving y'all some really helpful tips. Today, I want to talk about the 3 tips to go from surface level stylist to CEO because most of my career, I was offering surface level stuff. Most of my styling career, I was doing the closet cleanses, I was doing the outfitting, I was doing the shopping with the client. And although it was helpful, I guess, to the client, I didn't really feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like the client was truly transformed. And it just was very like one and done. It was very like temporary. And it just did not make sense after a while. And I was younger, I didn't really know what being a stylist, a successful stylist looked like. I really only knew what I saw. So, and obviously what I did my research on. So that's what I offered. That's what I did. But when I started doing those things and I started understanding who I was as a person and what I wanted to teach people and how I wanted to show up in the silent industry, I started to really focus more on what made the most sense, not just for me, but also for my clients. And I started to shift. I started to evolve my services. I started wanting to be taken more seriously. And I just felt like what I was doing as a stylist back then wasn't really sticking with people. At least that's how I felt, regardless of if it was or not. I didn't feel like people were really taking what I was teaching them and doing something with it. So I say all that to say, before we get started, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Kristen Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of PSU, which is Project Style University. There, I help aspiring. I'm about to give my bio for my styling business. There, I help first generation personal stylists transform their love for styling into a profitable business. I do that through coaching, I do that through mentorship, private programs, and of course, these lives and YouTube videos. I absolutely love what I do, and I love educating stylists on the business of styling because stylists really don't think this is a business. Stylists don't understand how important it is to help people show up as their authentic selves. Stylists don't really see the value in what they offer as stylists because society has made it seem like we're just out here doing fashion. We're just out here like doing clothes. And it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not what this has to be. It can be deeper, it can be more valuable, it can be helpful. Every single person that wakes up in the mornings, they get dressed, they put on clothes, they put on an outfit. And whether or not it's intentional, everybody could use an expert to teach them, educate them, and show them how to get dressed for their specific body, for their specific lifestyle, for their specific personality. And if that's not what you're doing, then you're not really doing anything. People will come to you asking you, like I mentioned earlier in this video, for new clothes, for a new wardrobe, for, places to shop. And it's like, okay, I can give that to you, but then what? Then what are you going to do? Are you going to shop a new outfit, wear it once, and then throw it in your closet? Like, are you going to, you know, get these new clothes and decide, yeah, this isn't really for me, and then go back to wearing what you were wearing before? Like, y'all, we are experts. So we have to be experts in this industry and we have to show up as such. We have to be confident in what we're doing, regardless of if people think they need what we offer or not. But people are going to come to you. I feel like I mentioned this before, asking you for things that you may or may not offer. People are going to come to you and they're going to say to you, well, wait, why don't you offer something like that? I thought all stylists offered things like that. And it's like, well, no, I'm not all stylists. I'm different. I'm unique. And I'm actually here to help you. Those other stylists, they're doing great. They're doing what works for them. But this is what works for my clients. And you are selling an outcome. You are selling an experience. You are selling education. You are selling confidence. You aren't just selling new clothes, the idea of having new clothes. So, without further ado, because I could talk about this all daggone day, and I don't have all day, let's hop into tip number one. So, number one, 3 tips to go from surface level stylist to CEO stylist. So, when I decided to transition from surface level stylist to CEO stylist, I had to shift from being a service provider and just providing, styling services to a solution oriented expert. I had to show up as an expert. I had to let people know that I know what I'm talking about. Not just knew, but I know what I'm talking about. I know what's important to focus on. I know how to help people be more intentional with their style. I know what brands are what. I know what sizes are what sizes. I know what body shapes are what body shapes. So I had to show up as an expert and not just focus on providing a surface level service because that wasn't really going to change my client's life. So stop just offering outfits and start offering outcomes. The outfits aren't the solution. The new wardrobe isn't the solution, or at least it's not the full solution. So you can do that, but what else are you going to do in order for what you're teaching them and what you're educating them to stick? What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do to help them to show up more confidently? What else are you going to do to help them to love their bodies more? What else are you going to do to help them transform into the person that they, are showing up as now? It's so important to think of that. CEO stylists focus on transformation, not just the money, not just transactions. Think beyond the clothes. What's the bigger impact of your work on your client's confidence, clarity, and presence? I'm reading my notes here, that's why I'm looking over. But think beyond the clothes. Hey Mona, hey. Think beyond the clothes because it's not just the clothes that you are providing your client. If that was the case, they can go out and shop on their own. If that was the case, they wouldn't be reaching out to you. If that was the case, they wouldn't we people wouldn't need stylists in general. We wouldn't even be here. So it's so important to think beyond the clothes and what else you're providing your client. What other transformation are you providing your clients? Because they can't increase their confidence on their own. They can't learn to love their body on their own. They can't learn how to, curate a wardrobe that aligns with who they are now on their own because they only know what they know. So, in the video that I'm actually going to release later today, I'm going to talk about some of the core values of being a stylist and being a style savant specifically for me. And one of my biggest core values is education. A lot of what you think the client knows, the client does not know. The clients that we're working with, they aren't stylists. So they have no idea what we do. They have no idea how we do it. They have no idea what any of these words, these terminologies, these experiences that we're putting them through, they don't know anything. So the stuff that comes easy to us is what is challenging to them. So that is one of the biggest reasons as to why I focus on one of my core values is education, because I know that I'm called to educate. Because otherwise, these women that are coming to me or these potential clients that are coming to me wouldn't know anything. They would go off of assumptions, they would go off of what a lot of these stores and brands are talking about. And some of these stores and brands don't even know the right terminology for certain things. I remember when I would be applying for stylist roles and I would look at the description and it was basically a sales associate. I'm like, well, wait a minute. A stylist isn't a sales associate. I'm confused. And it also has you all confused as well because there's so many different terminologies and so many different things that people have created about the styling industry and so many definitions that people have created for us that aren't true. So, in order for you to be seen as an expert, you have to speak on your truth. You also have to educate and let people know what's real. Like, stylists aren't just here to, like I said, put outfits together and, go shopping for your clients. Like, we're here to do more and we offer so much value. So that was point number one. Point number two, in order for you to go from surface level stylist to CEO stylist, you have to build a signature framework. Now, when I first started styling, I didn't necessarily have a framework. I didn't even know what a framework was. It wasn't until maybe 2019, 2020. It could have been 2021. Honestly, it wasn't that long ago for me where I created a framework. Now, many of you may already have a framework and you just don't realize that you have a framework. It's how you style, it's how you bring your client from point A to point Z. It's how you transform your client from the time they come to you to the time they leave you. So, what are you doing in between that time? What type of framework have you created to offer your clients so that they can transform? So I created, obviously, my CEO method. So the C stands for something, the E stands for something, and the O stands for something. And I can go deep into that at another time. But that framework is what I use to basically take my client through the process and the experience that I'm taking her through. And that has been helpful to me because one, it gives me an opportunity to stay focused on one thing at a time. I'm able to, really take my client through my process and make sure I'm on track, make sure I stay on track. But also, too, I know that that framework has helped to provide results. So when you create a framework, whether it's an acronym, whether it's some type of step by step process, whatever it is, that is going to help you to go from surface level to CEO. So surface level stylists style everyone the exact same. CEO stylists develop a repeatable process that delivers results. So it's so important for you to personalize the experience that you're bringing your clients through. And I'm saying experience because that is what I consider working with me to be an experience. I'm not just going to, oh, hey, here's some new clothes. All right, bye. Like, that's not how I work. And it can be very frustrating when you are doing something different, when you're going against the grain um, in a non traditional industry such as this one. Because when it's non traditional, one, people already don't know what it is that you do. And when it's non traditional, two, sometimes you didn't really know what, being a stylist was about or is about. So you kind of are creating your own path, you're kind of creating your own lane. And honestly, there is no right or wrong way to do what you're doing. You just have to be confident in what you're doing. And you also have to make sure that what you're doing is actually providing that transformation to your client and giving them those results that I was talking about. So, a clear branded methodology sets you apart and positions you as you go to leader as a go to leader in your niche. So when you have that method, like I don't know anybody else that has the CEO method. If they do have the CEO method, it doesn't represent what it represents for me and my clients. So when you have that methodology and you talk to your potential clients about how you help your clients, I help my clients with my CEO method. This is what it represents, this is what it stands for, and this is how it has helped my clients transform. It should be easy for them to say yes. It should be easy for them to want to invest in you and work with you and get the same results that you've provided your other clients. Now, like I said, every client is different, but and you're using the same process for each and every client, but it's the same process in a different way because every client is different. So it's so important because every client has different needs, every client has different challenges, every client has a different lifestyle, every client looks different, everybody's body is different, every client has a different budget, every client has a different end goal and an end result that they want. So it's so important for you to use that framework to not just stay on track, but to also use it as a guide and a results driven methodology, like I mentioned, to get your client the results that they're looking for. It's also important to ask your client, like, what do you want out of this experience? I know I posted a video, it's probably been some months now, but I walked you all through different questions to ask your clients because so many of you are wondering, like, what questions should I ask? Like, what am I supposed to be asking them? And it's like, well, you actually have to ask them the questions that you need the information to, if that makes sense. So if you know that you need the client sizes, ask them their sizes. If they don't know their sizes, then that means you need to help them and show them how to take their measurements. If you're wondering how the client found you, ask them how they found you. If you're wondering what results your clients want, going back to what I mentioned, ask them, like, what are they looking to get out of this experience? I always love asking my clients that because everybody's response is different. Everybody's response is different. So you have to ask the questions so that you can figure out what exactly your client is looking for so that now you know, all right, well, this is what she's looking for. Can I actually provide her the results? Can I actually use my methodology to get her to where she wants to be? And if the answer is yes, then they're in the right place. Now, if the answer is no, then that might not be the right client for you. Or, I mean, if you're open to trying it and you're, wanting to see how it works, feel free. Like I said, there is no right or wrong way with being a stylist and being a successful business owner because you learn from everything. Everything is a lesson. But sometimes, you'll realize that just working with people, any type of person that doesn't really fit your target audience and doesn't really like understand the value that you bring to the table, that honestly y'all are wasting each other's time, because that won't necessarily benefit you or the client, um, and the money won't even mean anything, to be honest. There have been so many clients that I've said yes to just for the money, and throughout working with them I'm like thinking to myself, why why in the world did I do this? Like, after a while, the money doesn't even matter because it's like now I'm going through hell. Excuse me, excuse my language. Now I'm going through this because I just wanted the coin. And it's like that doesn't make you successful. That doesn't make you a CEO. That is just making you greedy or, focused on the wrong things. Your priorities are wrong. So it's so important to say yes to the clients who understand what you bring to the table after you educate them and let them know who you are, what you do, and why you do it. And also make sure that you are the one that can provide them the results that they're looking for. And if you cannot, then you may not be the right stylist for them. And sometimes the clients kind of wean themselves out after y'all have had a conversation and you explain to them what you do and how you can help them. They may be thinking to themselves, like, yeah, I don't think this might be the right stylist for me. And honestly, that's the best that's the best outcome sometimes, because it is hard to tell people, like, yeah, I don't know that I'm the right stylist for you, but I can refer you to someone else. Sometimes that can be hard to do. And sometimes it's very hard, not sometimes, all the time. It's very hard after you have said yes. And now you're realizing, like, yeah, this probably isn't the right person for me. So you're now in a space where you either have to just go through it, or you can break up with the client, which I'm pretty sure I either talked about that before. And if I have not, then I'll talk about that another time. But sometimes we put ourselves in situations where we have to do the hard stuff. And like I said, we learn from those experiences, we learn from those lessons. But the thing that we don't get back is our time. So we wasted our time working with someone who isn't our client. And it's like, well, wait, why did I do this again? Why am I doing this again? So I could talk about that all day, but I definitely want to finish up. So point number 3, because it's 2 o'clock, y'all. Point number 3. Last but not least, you want to think business and not just a brand. So a lot of stylists that I've found, most recently, and then just who I've come across within my journey, a lot of them think that what we do isn't a real thing. They think that, oh, I'm just, or, oh, okay, like this is all that I'm just this little thing that I do on the side. And it's like, well, wait, if that's what you're calling it, that's what it's going to be. If you think you're just doing this little thing on the side, like this little brand that you created on Instagram, like all you have is an Instagram page, that's all it's going to be, sis. So you have to take yourself more seriously. And I knew I wanted to take myself more seriously, like maybe a year in to when I was styling, or when I even started my brand. I started my brand, if you don't know my story, as a blogger back in 2013. And at the time, I just knew that I wanted to talk about fashion. I wanted to talk about style. I wanted to share, what I was shopping for. I wanted to share what I was thrifting. I wanted to share a lot of different things in regards to fashion because I was passionate about fashion and still am. Excuse me. So I created a website, a blog spot back then. I don't even know if blog spot even still exists. And I would share different blog posts. Now, probably a year later, I'm like, or it could have been 2. I'm like, I started styling in 2014. So a year later, I was doing these photo shoots and things, styling models, working with photographers, working with stylists, and all the things. And I'm like, I wasn't getting paid for doing any of those things. I was spending my own money to purchase the clothes, and I wanted to be in a space where people could reach out to me and ask me to style and pay me for my time. So I'm like, all right, in order for me to like look like a stylist and show up as a stylist, I need to shift how I'm showing up online. I need to go from blogger to actual business owner. So I need to start taking myself more seriously. So I went from Blogspot to then WordPress at the time. Still had my blog, still was very focused on my blog, but then I had a page where I listed out the services that I offered. And I remember listing out all of these different services. I'm sure I talked about this before. I had like 12 different services that I was offering. And I knew that what I was doing was a little bit more than what people knew me as. I was moving from blogger. I was moving away from blogger and transitioning into being an actual stylist and an actual business. And I wanted to be taken seriously. And I want you all to do the same thing. Obviously, from there, I transitioned again to Wix. My website is fully focused on what experiences I provide, who I provide them to, how my process works. Like everything is there. I actually still have a tab for blogs, but I'm not like consistently showing up there all the time now. Now I'm on other platforms like Substack, like LinkedIn, still have an Instagram, and also YouTube. So my brand has transitioned and has evolved from being just a blogger to now being a CEO stylist, a style savant. So I want you all to be able to do the same thing. Start taking yourself more seriously. You're not just here to look the part. You're not just here to look cute, post cute pictures, show people that, you can dress. Like people know that. Like that's not the main focus. You're building something sustainable. So you're building a brand, you're building a business that is supposed to last, that is supposed to transform people's lives, that's supposed to change people. And in order for people to see that you're a business, you have to show up as such. So CEO stylists understand their pricing strategy, their client journey, their marketing, their long-term goals. They invest in systems, structures, and self-worth, not just doing photo shoots and not just taking cute pictures. Like that isn't what this is about, y'all. Now, if that's what you want to do, great. But then what? What else are you going to do? How else are you going to gain clients? How else are you going to build a sustainable business? What offers have you created? What are your price points? What results have you driven? Like, what exactly are you doing that is business like, that is showing people that you are a business owner, that what you're doing is real, that what you're doing is and should be taken serious? What are you doing? So you have to think like a business. You have to think like a CEO. And CEOs have systems in place. They have a pricing strategy. They have a client journey. They have marketing tactics. They have goals. They have money goals. They have all of these things set in place. And even if you don't have them set in place, these are things that you have written down. These are things that you have typed up. These are things that you have in your mind and in your brain. Yes, you can be a successful CEO stylist. Yes, you can do this full time. Yes, you can get consistent clients. Yes, you can make consistent money, but you have to put the work in. You have to show people what you are made of. You have to take yourself seriously. You have to believe. You have to believe that you can do those things. Now, if you don't believe that you can be a successful stylist, if you don't believe that you can get consistent clients, if you don't believe that you can charge $1,000 and up for a service or a package, if you don't believe that people are going to pay you for your time, then that's what it's going to be. You have to believe. This will be the last thing I say, but there was a quote that I wrote earlier this week that when I was watching a podcast, and they said, how you what you think is how you feel. What you think determines how you feel. And what you feel determines what you do. And what you do is what you become. So if you think that you can't be successful, if you think that you can't charge a certain amount for your offers, if you think that you're not valuable, then that's how you're going to feel. And if you feel that way, then you're not going to do any of the things that we talked about today because you don't feel like you're capable. You don't feel like you're good enough. You don't feel like you have the experience. And if you don't feel any of those things, then you're not going to do anything. And if you don't do anything, you're not going to become the CEO stylist that you were created to be. So I'm going to leave it at that, y'all. I really, really hope this was helpful. I hope this changed and shifted your mindset a bit when it comes to showing up as a CEO stylist. If you have any questions at all about anything that I talked about today, do not hesitate to drop them in the comments. Also, let me know what topics you'd like me to cover, what topics you may be interested in for me to talk about in next week's live. Also, make sure you like this video, you send it to a stylist that you know, you subscribe as well so you always are notified when I go live. And check the description box to subscribe to my mailing list. There's so many instructions, but definitely pause this video if you are listening to the replay and make sure you do everything that I'm suggesting that you do so that you can stay up to date with all things PSU and everything that we do here. But as always, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. And yeah, thanks y'all for y'all time. I will see y'all soon. Bye.